Hi all, welcome to the second video in the series of Mastering Agile. In the previous video I talked about the core values of the Agile Manifest, and I think that it's a good idea to review the 12 principles as they presented in the manifest and explain them from real world perspective, because one thing is to read the principles and core values, but as I learned during the years, you need to understand how to implement them, what does it actually means in real world environments, and of course practical examples. So let's dive right in, and I will start reviewing them. So if we want a quick reminder, the Agile Manifesto contains 4 values, which presented from the left, and in addition it also contains 12 principles. So the one thing that I want you to remember and take from this presentation, in addition to all the other great examples, is that the Agile principles are not set of rules. They are only a way to convey your mindset to work in Agile. Means that driven from the understanding of the Agile principles, you can generate practices, you can generate the mindset that you need, the correct thinking, which at the end, once embraced, you will succeed to deliver software faster and with better quality. It's a fact, it's a pure fact. But they are not strict rules. So once we review them, you don't need to take them as rules and go to your environment and say, okay, the Agile Manifest says that we must follow principle 1, 2, or 3, and you must doing them. It will not work. It's always a matter of balance, where you need to try to implement the principles and core values, but you also need to always calculate the business goals, the business needs, customer needs, and actually the Agile maturity level that you have in your teams and business. So the first principle stating that our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of value-based software. Well, I think that it's really straightforward. Unlike traditional methodologies like the waterfall, we want to deliver software fast. We don't want to deliver one product to a customer with all the functionality, and by that missing all the feedback, and at the end we are missing the most important thing, the customer that at maybe months and weeks prior asked for some functionality, and in most cases he doesn't really know how it's going to work, and if what he asked at the beginning will actually provide him with the solution that he needs. So in Agile, we want to satisfy the customer and encourage them to minimize the time between the requirements that the organization receives from the customers and the actual software that we can deliver. So how we are doing it in real world environment, we are using MVPs. What does it mean, MVP? A minimum valuable product. So a minimum valuable product is a set of functionalities, minimum functionalities that the organization can deliver to the customer, which you can use, and by that generate feedback back to the engineering teams, where we can adjust, adapt, and actually make sure that the customer will receive future requirements that meets his needs. So how we are doing it in real world environments, we are using quick MVP launch, which minimizes the time from ideation to launch, getting working product to customer very quickly. Of course, continuous feedback, which is vital in Agile, where we want to involve the customer early in the process. Frequent releases. Unlike traditional methodologies, in Agile frameworks we are using a time range between 2 or 4 weeks. The average that I see in the industry is 2 weeks, but I saw 3 and even 4, usually at the start of the Agile implementation, where the Agile teams and the business is not familiar with how to work in these frameworks. So frequent releases, of course, is driven from the MVP, and iterative improvements, as said before, you can improve your product based on feedback. So the second principle, stating that we are welcome changing requirements. Even late in the development, agile processes harness change for the customer competitive advantage. Well, I think that it's self-explanatory. We use requirements, unlike traditional methodologies, as a way to improve the product and deliver the right product to our customers. Agile principles and values that support to these changes, rather than we just want to move forward and deliver one bulk of functionality that the customers will receive at the end. No, we want to gather new requirements based on the feedback that we receive and adopt the product to the customer needs. So how can we achieve it? Adaptability. So I don't like to talk about the theory, but yes, in Agile we are more adaptable to change. Market awareness is a very important thing. We are using business peers and SRE teams that work closely with the customers to generate this continuous feedback. And in addition, we want to monitor the trends that we have in the industry. Maybe, when we start a project with one technology and understand later on that we have a better technologies to use. So yes, the requirements can come both from the field and both from trends that we see in the industry that can improve dramatically the quality of our product and how we deliver it. Strategic goals. So I think it's obvious when we build let's say that we build a new Agile project, we have PBIs, product backlog items. So we need to focus not just on the features and PBIs that driven in the engineering teams. We want a strategic focus and a roadmap, which I will create an entire video about how we are doing it. But in organization, you will see a hierarchy of goals, epics that represent a large piece of work that can take quarters and even more. So it's one aspect that we must understand. Regular adjustment, I talked about it, and stakeholder communications. Okay. One thing that you will see all the time is let's assume that we're in the engineering team and we have requirements and we design a solution that will work with with one tool or another, and after we use a PBI of spike of research, we understand that our solution can be improved dramatically if we postpone the release and maybe implement the new tool or new technology. Doesn't really matter. What will happen is that most likely we'll get pushback from your executive, because why? If we have a working solution that we want to deliver and generate revenues, why we are postponing it? So one thing that is crucial in engineering is to know how to deliver the changes to your peers, executive. So I think that it's also worth a dedicated video how I am doing it and what is the process that you may use to achieve more better results by explaining your reasons. So okay, let's move next. I think this is the most straightforward principle. Deliver working software frequently, from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, with a preference to a shorter time scale. I think that I already talked about it. Agile breaks product development into smaller components and not just like as we saw in the waterfall model. You can see it here. The waterfall model is a straightforward hierarchy of level, unlike the same level, exactly the same level in Agile, but in iterative approach that make the difference between frequent releases of 2 or 4 weeks and instead of 4 months or 6 6 months. Okay, so this principle is very straightforward. There is no reason to focus on it now. So the fourth principle is business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. I must say that this principle is not strict only to Agile. I think that it's obvious that you cannot deliver anything without adopting this principle, no matter if you are using Agile or other frameworks. I think it's really straightforward. But if you want to focus on Agile, let's take Scrum for example. How we are achieving it in Scrum? It's very easy. We have a set of meetings, daily meetings, review meetings, retrospective meetings, where all the team and the business stakeholders, including executives, product owners, and so on, that can communicate and understand one each other and talk about the product and what is the goals and what we are going to achieve. Of course, collaboration and alignment are driven from these meetings. But I don't like this principle so you treat it as something that's relevant to only to Agile. I think it's everything in life. If you are dealing with a project, you want all the peers talk one with each other and respect one each other. Without it, you cannot do anything. So Agile principle number 5. Build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. It's more easy to say than done. Agile projects are supposed to build around people that are motivated and want to work together. But what this principle actually means is that you want to give your teams the freedom to work. You don't want to use micromanagement and all of this boss-like management approach. You want to give them the freedom and the supportive environment that they can actually do their work. I think that one of the main things in Scrum, for example, I'm talking much more about Scrum than other Agile frameworks because Scrum is the leading Agile frameworks that we see in the industry right now. Of course, there are more, and we are doing adjustment per project and per organization, but Scrum is the most commonly used. So what does it mean to work in Scrum is that you want your team to be self-organized and so they can do the work without external help. What does it mean? That you have teams that have all the knowledge, all the experience, all the understanding that they can work as a single unit and deliver a working software at the end. Okay, I will review this first and then I will tell you something for my side, how I am doing it in my teams. So trust and autonomy empower individuals and teams. I think it's obvious, but it's again not related directly to Agile. If you manage people, you want to empower them and trust them. If not, you have a big problem both as a manager and both as a management culture, or it will not work. Right people in skills, build teams with the necessary expertise. It's a must. If your team does not have the necessary skills, they cannot deliver and succeed in the goals you are achieving for them. Clear responsibilities, define roles before starting the project. I think it's obvious, yeah, right? Yeah, as I said, the Agile principles are not set of rules. They are things that we want to embrace as a mindset, but this mindset is not particularly relevant only to Agile. I'm always saying this because you can take the same principles and adopt them in any other frameworks or even not related to the software industry. No micromanagement. I already talked about micromanagement is crap. You never want to use it. It's the most destructive management approach that I ever saw. I will want to give you one thing that I'm doing in my teams, especially new teams. When I'm creating teams, I want to give them the support to make mistakes. But mistakes can be costly. I know that we want to fail fast and all of this, mindset and theory that, but fail fast come with results. You cannot fail fast when you have a customer that's waiting, and you cannot fail fast when you are a small startup and each failure can destroy your business. But what I love to do in my teams is to set a boundary that the teams doesn't know and give them the space to work. So once I'm doing it, I know that failures will happen, but they are all contained. So I know that if my team will fail, I can fix it and still be able to meet the goals. So what I'm doing by that is to build a culture where people will be able to work, make mistakes, and learn from it. So they will increase their confidence to work, because once you are not doing that and contain those mistakes, you will see it all the time in businesses or in organization where you did the mistakes and some executives comes and told you why. No, you want to set the boundaries, you want to contain mistakes and be able to allow your teams to learn from it. So this is what I'm doing, setting the boundaries where mistakes can happen, but I know how to fix them very quickly. And in addition, I gain all the benefits of letting my people to understand that I trust them, and I know that they can deliver software and talk one with each other and have the confidence to share their thoughts. And it's also an obvious thing. Let's move to principle number 6, the most efficient and effective method of conveying information information to and within development teams in face-to-face conversation. Well, with so many distributed remote development teams these days, this principle gets a bit of critic. I think that yes, after the COVID virus, when we see more and more organizations moving to working from home and Zoom, and we have Generation Z and all of this, I'm not saying that it's not something good. I think it's great, but I think that the best communication, it's by statistic, it's proven thing, is face-to-face communication. We say it all the time. Let me see. In addition, if I have another thing that I want to. Okay, so I want to cut it fast. So the overall objective behind this principle is to encourage your teams and peers to work closely one with each other. All conversation which are delivering the greatest insight that I ever saw. But how we want to achieve it in Agile? So in Agile we have dedicated meetings like daily demo, grooming, and planning meeting, which are all a combined set of sessions, which I will of course review in the next video once I start talking about Scrum, where people are meet together and can collaborate. You can do it in Zoom, but face-to-face conversations are the best. Pair programming is a great process of both of two people working together to develop to develop one next to each other. Pair programming, I think, originally established in extreme programming back then, 30 or 40 years ago, by Ken Beck, while he talked about extreme programming in addition to test-driven development. Another video I think that I want to create for you. And of course you can do a user story workshop where product manager and developers collaborate together to create the PBIs that the team will work. So I think that the crucial thing that we want to take from this principle is that although Zoom meetings and remote work is great, I love it, I'm working from home 3 days a week, it's a great thing, but you cannot replace the one-to-one conversation where all the people meet together. I think that from both technical and illness for you is a great thing that you must adopt. So principle number 7, working software is the primary measure to progress, it's really straightforward. You can create hundreds of KPIs and metrics to measure your success. Actually, I created a dedicated book. You can see behind me about metrics, 200 metrics. But in Agile, and the core philosophy is stating that the only measure to demonstrate success is to deliver working software to your customers. Without it, you can have the best processes, the best CI/CD pipelines, but in the end, if you cannot deliver working software to your customer where they can actually use with a good quality, of course, all the rest is less important. Let's take an example that I see all the time, where teams may be so focused on their documentation, for example, created very detailed LLDs and SRS docs and test plans, and it's all great, and it can sometimes increase the delivery from 1 sprint to 2 sprints or 3 sprints, because they say that, okay, we must use a dedicated software, but dedicated documentation, but documentation is great, but it's not enough. In this example, of course, you want to deliver software fast. That's the whole purpose of Agile. If we want to say one thing about the most important principle, this principle is probably the most, because it's combined all the other principles. How can we achieve it? Focus on software, priorities building software over perfect documentation. Of course, quick market entry, avoid patterns by not waiting for perfections. Okay, I think it's relevant to all aspects in life. Success measure, I already stating this. Minimum value features. Of course, we want to prioritize the most important functionality first to our customers. And frequent releases, I already talked about it also. Principle number 8. Agile process promotes sustainable development. The sponsor, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. Okay. How can we achieve it? 1 second. I want to remove this. Okay. 1 second. So how can we achieve it? Sprint planning, of course. We are planning the sprint. We are planning the goals, what we want to achieve, and how. Mostly done by the product owner, Scrum Master, and the teams. Commitment. Once we establish the goals and PBI, we want to get the commitment from the team, where they understand they can actually deliver it. Because one thing is that I see all the time for product owners to push a huge amount of work for the teams, and the teams are committed because I don't have the maturity to push back. And what happened most likely is that they fail to deliver it, and then we start talking about the lack of maturity and lack of ability of the teams. But the root cause is actually comes from other place of the product owner that doesn't know how to manage his teams and its workload. So role of product manager, I think that I already talked about it. Product managers and product owners are completely different teams in different responsibilities in Agile frameworks. I received tens of requests to prepare a presentation about it. I will make a presentation about the difference, and I think that I already talked about it in the previous principles. You want to let your team to be able to talk and have the confidence to do so. Principle number 9: continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhance quality. Wait. I think that I forgot to explain another things about it. I think that if we talk today in the current industry, where we have a new generation of employees, the Z Gen. So what we want to make sure is that we avoid burnout. We don't want to push our teams to the limit until they say to you, it's not good for me, it doesn't go to my illness. So one thing that you must do is to make sure that you are not creating a burnout of your people. Work-life balance, make sure that you achieve reasonable goals and let them the balance to work from home and work from the office. I don't know how you're doing it, but I think that work-life balance is one of the critical aspects that I see now when I recruit new employees. Another thing that comes from my experience is that you want to make sure that your team is stable. What does it mean? You don't want to replace people. You want to make sure that if you have a team of 10 people, 6 people, it doesn't really matter. You want to keep them, if they succeed to work together and in harmony, you want to keep them running as a team as much time as possible and not replace team members, which can create a whole set of problems. If you're not doing it right, if you're doing it right, well, it's okay. So Agile principles number 9. Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhance agility. Well, of course, if you're not doing it, so how can you work? So while in the philosophy of Agile we want to promote shorter cycle and frequent releases, we also want to be able to maintain our code base and test base good as possible, clear as possible, and without flakiness that jeopardize the build creation and build deployment as part of the CI/CD pipeline. So how we are going to achieve it? Technical depth. You always want to keep dedicated time for your teams to reduce the technical depth. I saw that teams with huge technical depth will never be able to deliver working software. They need to focus on technical depth and there are so many fires that come with that. So you want to reduce the technical depth of your organization, your teams, so they can focus on the important stuff first. Technical excellence, I think that it's obvious. It's relevant to any development framework. If your code base and test base are not good enough, you will increase technical depth and most likely will never be able to deliver working software, or you will be able to deliver working software but with so many bugs and something that can jeopardize your reputation and business reputation. So design is the same. Agile principle number 10 is that simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done, is essential. So I think that you all know the protocol about the 80-20, where the concept is that you get 80% of the intended result within just the 20% of the actual work. I think that again it's relevant to any development project or anything in life that demands you to do something. If you focus on the right things, you will be saving time. For example, I have a good example which I just reviewed. How can we achieve it, and I will talk about it. So automatic testing, yes, use automatic testing to reduce the manual effort. Refactoring, always drive to improve your code quality. Lean documentation, don't invest in large documentation base. There is no need, especially once your business and teams are matured in Agile. You don't want to invest heavily in documentation, but pay attention. Documentation is very important in Agile, but the art in A is to make sure that it's lean and add value. If it doesn't add value, don't use it. Prioritization, of course, always prioritize your task during and prior the sprint begins. And reusable components, same. I think it's very obvious. If you use classes that for example, can be used in other locations. It will save time. If you can create a test baseline that you can use in every other project, or test classes in automation tools, of course it will save time. So I want to provide you one example of one of my employees had a project to test an events, Microsoft events. Doesn't really matter. We have something like 300 variations. So once he started the project, I saw that the test design was to test all the 300 events. Means that it will take at least 2 or 3 sprints, which is unacceptable, because with a good work we actually can reduce the amount of tests and achieve a better quality with this rule. Why? Because we are using a much more improved test strategies like risk-based testing, where we doesn't really need to test 300 cases. We can test a third of that, and we will receive the same results, because it's the events come from the same root function and the same API. So once you got one of the class events, they are I don't remember, it's 5 or 6 events coming from the same API, so it most likely work, and there is not a real reason to do so. So we actually succeed to deliver the entire test plan and test it within a single sprint, and I must say that we doesn't receive any bug about it. So not just that we reduce the time, we actually provide a better quality to our customers. The last 2 principles is that the best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organized teams. Yes, of course. Simply put, the self-organized teams has the autonomy to decide how they will work together. The team is completely responsible for assigning, tracking, and implementing the code. How can we achieve it? I like this image. Cross-functional teams, where you have both experts and non-experts in your team that can work together, but they have all the technical excellence to do so. Collaborative planning, adaptive problem solving, and ownership. You can read it, but I want to focus on the ownership. I wrote it down. Team members take ownership of their work, leading to higher motivation and accountability. One thing that I want you to take from this principle is the ownership. You can have the best people in your team, but if they are not taking the ownership on their deliverables, you have huge problems. I had so many teams with technical excellence that skyrocket, but at the end they doesn't have the ownership on the deliverables. What I mean by that, they didn't talk well. They deliver products that focus only on the technical side without understanding sometimes what the customers needs. But this is not the problem. The problem was once we receive the issues from the field, they ignore it. Means they start to talk badly one on each other, blame one of each other, blaming the product owner, blaming the customer that he doesn't know how to use it. You never want to see it in your teams. Taking ownership is the one thing that make all the difference. So what you want to see in your teams is that once your team is committed to something, it's end-to-end. They design it, they work together to build it, and once you have problems and feedback from the field, they taking it and using it for continuous improvement. This is the most important thing here. And the last principle is that at regular intervals, the team reflects on how they become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. Okay, living by Agile principles means rejecting the mindset of we can't change because we've always done it this way. Okay, I think it's strictly put. We want to make sure that we improve our processes every time. We want to both implement, but we also want to learn from the process we use to gain those insights. Agile is not about, I mentioned it at the beginning about when we talk about core values and principles. Agile does not provide strict rules of delivering a software. You don't need to following it any predefined processes. It's all about fostering continuous improvement. Well, what you want to achieve by working in Agile is to strive for continuous improvement. It doesn't matter if you improve your processes. It doesn't matter if you improve your technical knowledge or improve your the collaboration with the customers. Each sprint, each day must be focused on improvements. Okay, so one of the meetings that I'm doing with my teams is on a daily basis for I think at the beginning of the implementation of Agile frameworks. I'm doing it almost every day, but now in my teams we are doing it once a sprint. We are not just focusing on the retrospective, which is a dedicated meeting for also continuous improvement. I have a dedicated meeting with one-on-one with each team member to understand what I think we can improve, and personally how he can improve his goals. And I think it's adding so much benefit both for the team, both for the business, and also for the individuals which work with me. One of the things that's most important for me is to improve my employees and let them be better in their work, both as a person and both as an engineer. How can we achieve it? Sprint retrospective. Of course, after each sprint, we gather all the team members and understand what worked well for us, what we want to keep, and what was the problem that we want to resolve. Process experimentation, whatever. I think that you always want to keep your team interesting in what you are doing. For example, I don't like to use dailies, routine dailies where each team member always have the same process of talking about what he did yesterday, what he did today, and what problems does he have. To be honest, I don't like to use dailies per day. I sometimes doing it in different hours, 3 times a week instead of 5. And I change the format. I always make sure that the format is per sprint. I change the format. So the order of people, how we are doing it. Sometimes we are going to a coffee shop just to talk in a different place. So maybe I will create a video about my techniques, but you can find it everywhere now in the internet. Feedback loops, so of course, are very important. As I said, I use an improvement meeting, so you can establish your own. So I think it's done from this video. Thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to subscribe. It's really helped me to create more content, and I just started this channel, and I promise you it will be one of the best in the internet. So please subscribe, like, and share if you like. Of course, just if you like this video. And thank you very, very much for joining me today. See you in the next video. Principles together. How can we achieve it? Focus on just a second. I want to stop. Can. Okay, return.